Well, take a look at this. These vehicles are moving from Ghana through to Burkina Faso. Yes, you heard me right.
Did we just see Burkina Faso change the course of world politics? On Wednesday, May 21st, 2025, a convoy of military equipment worth an estimated 6 billion CFA francs rolled into the capital, Ouagadougou. But this was no ordinary delivery. Motorbikes, buses, armored vehicles, drones, and advanced communication systems have been officially handed over to the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, VDPs, signaling not just a shift in military strategy, but a bold redefinition of power. This isn't just about hardware, it's about a statement. For years, Burkina Faso was boxed into a narrative of insurgency, instability, and reliance on foreign aid. But as those towering trucks thundered through the dusty streets, flanked by wide-eyed onlookers and whispered speculation, the message was clear. We're not playing by your rules anymore. At first glance, the delivery might have seemed like a standard military resupply. But for anyone paying attention, this convoy was symbolic a turning point. The sheer size, the secrecy, and the visible excitement surrounding it tell a different story. This was a show of strength, a declaration of intent, the kind of moment that forces analysts, neighbors, and global actors to pay attention. Inside those covered transports were not just tools, but game changers, technological and tactical upgrades that are set to transform the VDPs from lightly equipped volunteers into a modern, mobile, and mission-ready force. No longer will soldiers be forced into vulnerable positions with outdated gear. These new armored behemoths, fortified against IEDs, ambushes, and the harsh realities of asymmetric warfare, change the rules of engagement. They offer safety, but also mobility and morale. Every kilometer traveled in one is a step reclaimed from chaos. Drones add another dimension entirely eyes in the sky. Intelligence gathering, surveillance, and precision coordination bring the battlefield into real-time focus. In the hands of the VDPs, these tools close a gap that insurgents have long exploited. Visibility. Now, threats can be tracked, anticipated, and neutralized before they strike. And it doesn't stop there. Modern warfare isn't won by force alone, it's won by coordination. The new communication systems included in this rollout enable seamless links across units, regions, and command structures. Where once disjointed efforts faltered, now a unified network stands ready. By arming its citizen volunteer force with cutting-edge gear, the government is doing more than just improving defense, it's reshaping the country's geopolitical identity. The VDPs, often seen as grassroots defenders, are now an extension of a larger national vision: self-reliance, resilience, and regional leadership. The official handover, attended by top government and military officials, marks not just a policy success, but a symbolic shift. Burkina Faso is no longer simply reacting to instability, it's preparing to define its own destiny. The world might still be watching with skepticism, but one thing is certain. The road ahead for Burkina Faso is no longer one of quiet dependence. With 6 billion CFA francs worth of resolve now in motion, the nation is rolling forward with eyes open, engines roaring, and the past fading fast in the rearview mirror. These new vehicles bring more than just protection, they boost morale. Knowing they're safe from the enemy's deadliest attacks changes everything for the soldiers inside. Instead of being cautious or afraid, they feel confident and ready to take control. It's no longer just about surviving, it's about winning. Insurgents, who once relied on catching soldiers off guard, now face a force that won't back down. Then there are the drones. At first glance, they might look small or harmless, but they're powerful tools. These aren't just flying cameras, They're advanced machines with high-tech sensors that can scan huge areas with precision. Imagine a drone flying over a dense forest, picking up heat signals from a hidden insurgent camp below. It sends this information straight to command, giving troops on the ground the chance to respond quickly and effectively. In a fight where enemies hide and strike suddenly, having an eye in the sky changes everything. These drones aren't just upgrades, they're force multipliers. The third piece of this transformation is the new communication system. It might not look as dramatic as armored trucks or drones, but it's just as important. In war, being able to share information clearly and securely can mean the difference between success and disaster. Without proper communication, even a well-armed unit can fall into chaos. These systems allow soldiers to move in sync, let commanders adjust plans in real time, and help prevent the spread of false information, something insurgents often rely on. Imagine a group of soldiers walking through a village. With live updates coming through secure lines, they can shift their strategy instantly, locate enemy positions, and call for help if needed. Without this kind of tech, things could fall apart, fast delays, confusion, even deadly mistakes. But with it, missions become coordinated, smart, and far more effective. Still, this convoy isn't just about equipment, it's a symbol of change. For years, Burkina Faso's forces fought with old weapons, weak armor, and little support. They were often outmatched by insurgents who used every weakness against them. This delivery marks a turning point. It sends a message to the soldiers: you're not alone anymore. And to the people: we're serious about protecting you. But while it inspires hope, it also raises questions. Why now? Why such a sudden push to upgrade? And most of all, who's behind this shift? These are big changes, and they're happening at a crucial time. Over the past year, violence has gotten worse. Insurgent attacks have become more targeted and deadly. Entire villages have been destroyed. Schools are closed. Markets are empty. Families are running for safety. The threat isn't just to people, it's to the future of the country. The pressure on the government to act has never been greater. But this isn't just about politics. It's about survival, about protecting communities, and about restoring hope in a nation that's been through far too much. The convoy has arrived, but its real impact and the story it begins to tell is just getting started. For people who have lost their homes, their way of life, and even family members due to the ongoing conflict, this moment hits close to home. That's where the convoy comes in, not just as a shipment of military gear, but as a strong and determined response to a crisis that could no longer be ignored. This isn't just about defense, it's about rewriting Burkina Faso's story. For a long time, the country was seen as helpless under threat, relying on foreign aid and struggling to take control of its own future. Now, that narrative is changing. At the center of this change is Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso's young and determined leader. He isn't just trying to defend the nation, he's trying to make it truly independent. His message is loud and clear. Burkina Faso will no longer let others decide its fate or play a small role in its own story. Breaking away from the past hasn't been easy. Like many African nations, Burkina Faso depended heavily on Western countries for military support. But that help often came with strings-attached economic demands, political conditions, and foreign interests, taking priority over local needs. In the end, the country found itself stuck, unable to fix its own problems while trying to satisfy outsiders. Traoré has chosen a different path. His decision to break away from this old model shows his belief in self-reliance. The arrival of this convoy is not just practical. It carries deep symbolism. It's a turning point, not just for Burkina Faso, but for how African countries are starting to rethink their place in the world. This move sends a strong message. Burkina Faso will no longer be anyone's pawn. With this modern military equipment, the country is signaling to both its neighbors and powerful nations around the world that it's ready to lead its own future. Still, the shift raises important questions. Major military upgrades like this don't happen in isolation. So naturally, people are asking, who is helping make this possible? What do they expect in return? And how will this bold change affect the entire region? To understand what's really happening, we need to look at the bigger picture. Across Africa, more countries are pushing back against long-standing foreign control. They're building new alliances, exploring different partnerships, and making choices based on what's best for them, not just what suits others. The convoy represents this larger movement. It's a physical sign that Burkina Faso is ready to walk its own path, even if it means going against powerful traditions. But this new direction also comes with risks. Leaving behind old allies can be both freeing and dangerous. The global powers that once had strong influence in Burkina Faso won't vanish overnight. Their presence and interests will remain. So while this convoy may look like just another delivery of weapons, it's much more than that. It's a bold step into the unknown, a rejection of the old way of doing things, and a powerful symbol of a nation choosing to stand on its own feet. So, who is helping Burkina Faso make this big shift? Is it simply a friendly ally with shared interests? Or is there a deeper, more strategic plan behind the scenes? The answer could affect not only Burkina Faso, but entire regions across Africa. One thing's for sure, the timing of this convoy is no coincidence. Burkina Faso is no longer content to sit on the sidelines while bigger powers move pieces in the global game. The question everyone's asking now is, where did this military equipment come from? This question is making waves in diplomatic circles and think tanks across the globe. Let's be real, advanced drones, armored vehicles, and state-of-the-art communication systems don't just appear out of nowhere, especially not in a country that, until recently, heavily relied on outside help to fill gaps in its defense. The presence of such sophisticated tools clearly points to support from a powerful and purposeful partner. While Western countries are keeping a close watch, the attention is shifting toward non-Western powers nations looking to challenge the global balance of power. One country stands out the most: Russia. Over the past few years, Russia has been working hard to rebuild old relationships across Africa, some of which go back to Soviet times. Its strategy is clear: support nations that want to break free from Western control and build influence in a continent full of resources and potential. There have already been talks of Russian military advisors being active in Burkina Faso. And when you add the rumored involvement of the Wagner Group, a well-known Russian private military company, the picture becomes clearer. For Russia, helping Burkina Faso isn't about charity. It's a smart political move. By providing military aid, Russia is directly challenging the West's long-standing dominance in Africa. The convoy is more than just a shipment, it's a statement. It's part of a wider effort to loosen the grip of Western influence on African soil, one delivery at a time. But Russia isn't the only player in the game. There's also China, quieter, more patient, but just as powerful. While Russia focuses on bold military moves, China takes a slower, long-term approach. It's likely that the convoy's high-tech communication systems are Chinese in origin. China's strength lies in building smart, efficient technology and infrastructure. These systems aren't just helpful on the battlefield, they're part of a bigger plan. By helping with tools and tech, China is also building strong, lasting ties. It's not just about war, it's about influence. For China, Supporting Burkina Faso means gaining a foothold in a region full of potential and increasing its importance as a trusted partner for African nations looking to break away from Western limits. Both Russia and China are helping Burkina Faso strengthen its military, but their involvement brings up tough questions. Is Burkina Faso really gaining full independence, or just switching from one set of powerful backers to another? Are these countries true allies in Africa's push for sovereignty, or are they simply looking out for their own interests? It's a fine line. On one hand, it's a win for Burkina Faso to receive this convoy without bowing to pressure from the West. But real freedom means staying alert, not becoming part of someone else's game plan. This moment is bigger than just Burkina Faso. It signals a shift across Africa, a challenge to old power structures, and a search for new partnerships. Western influence in Africa is facing more resistance, as more nations consider different paths. Burkina Faso may be leading the way, but it's not yet clear if this marks the rise of a truly independent African defense system or simply a realignment of global loyalties. Either way, what matters most now is what happens next. The convoy is here. The equipment is real. But its true value will only be proven on the battlefield, where Burkina Faso's forces must now turn technology and alliances into actual results. The ultimate test is whether this new era can deliver peace and control to a nation that's been fighting to stand on its own. Only time will reveal the full impact of this shift. But one thing is becoming clear: China and Russia don't seem to want to control Burkina Faso the way Western countries once did. And that's exactly why people remain cautious about relying too heavily on them. Still, President Ibrahim Traoré isn't someone who easily allows outside interference. He's shown he knows how to keep foreign powers at a distance, and he certainly isn't anyone's puppet. So now, the big question is, what real difference will this convoy make for Burkina Faso? The true value of this delivery lies not in its arrival, but in what it changes. These drones, armored vehicles, and high-tech communication tools are not just upgrades, they're lifelines. Imagine being a soldier, entering battle with outdated weapons, no backup from the air, and little support. Now picture that same soldier, equipped with modern gear, an armored vehicle for protection, drones providing surveillance from above, and a radio system that keeps every unit connected and coordinated. That's not just a tactical advantage, it's a total transformation. Take the drones, for example. These aren't just machines flying overhead, they're game changers. They can scan huge areas of land and spot hidden enemy camps long before they become a threat. Places that once gave rebels the upper hand, dense forests or the wide Sahel, are no longer safe hiding spots. The military can now strike first, rather than wait to defend. Armored vehicles bring a new level of safety and confidence. In the past, soldiers were highly exposed to roadside bombs and ambushes. Now, with these mobile fortresses, they can travel through dangerous zones with greater protection. What once felt like a gamble is now a planned operation. These vehicles aren't just shields, they're symbols of strength, helping troops reclaim areas lost to militants and secure regions that are key to the country's stability. Then there's the communication system, quiet but essential. In war, a single miscommunication can cost lives. A late command, a misunderstood order, or unclear intel can turn a solid plan into chaos. These new tools fix that. Now, every part of the military, from commanders in control centers to foot soldiers and drone pilots, can operate as one well-coordinated team. And where misinformation once gave insurgents an edge, real-time data now helps Burkina Faso's forces stay ahead. But the significance of this convoy isn't just military, it's emotional, social, and national. For communities torn apart by violence, This isn't just equipment. It's a sign of hope. Picture villages that once stood empty, now buzzing with life. Markets that were silent, now full of buyers and sellers. Schools that once shut down reopening, filled with the sounds of children again. For people living through conflict, this convoy represents a chance to return to normal life. On a national level, it marks a turning point. Burkina Faso, under Traoré's leadership, is refusing to be seen as weak or dependent. For decades, its military was under-equipped, underfunded, and tied to foreign support that came with strings attached. But this convoy and what it stands for sends a bold message. The country is ready to chart its own course. This isn't just about fighting rebels. It's about breaking free from systems that have kept the country in check for far too long. It's a step toward the kind of independence Traoré envisions for Burkina Faso. Strong, self-sufficient, and respected. Could other African nations follow this lead, moving away from outdated foreign ties in favor of true autonomy? Is this convoy the beginning of a broader shift in how Africa engages with the world? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. And if you're interested in stories like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.